Hello and welcome back to our final demo video dealing with Chapter 10, Accounting for Liabilities. So in this problem we're going to do 10-4B, recording payroll and payroll taxes. This one's actually a pretty interesting problem because I think it has a lot of applies to your personal situation. In a sense that everybody has a job, or we're going through this program to hopefully find a job, right? So payroll is kind of a big thing, and if you understand what happens from the company perspective, you can see how it applies to you and to your payroll or your paychecks. So we're going to work on 10-4B. And we're going to record the payroll and the payroll taxes. So they give us data from Jefferson Distribution Company's March payroll. They give us the admin, they give us the admin salaries, the sales salaries, the custodial salaries. They give us the total payroll, okay? And then underneath that, they tell us the portion of Medicare and how much of that is subjected to the Medicare tax. So the Medicare portion is 1.45, okay? That means out of your total salary, your gross salary, you pay 1.45%, and your employer also pays 1.45% on your behalf. Social Security. Social Security, the percentage is 6.2% of your salary is taxable. Now, Congress likes to mess around and change a lot of things, and the amount of tax that we pay on Social Security is actually phased out. Again, I know this isn't a tax class, but for your personal information, this might help. They change it every year, to be honest with you. But I remember from last year, I do believe the first $120,000 that you make is subject to Social Security tax. Anything above that is not. So and I wish all of you that you graduate and you're making $250K a year. Well, guess what? On that $250K, you're only going to pay Social Security tax up to $120,000, or by that time, whatever Congress dictates as being the threshold for Social Security, that's what you'll pay. Okay. They give us the unemployment, the state unemployment, and they give us the federal income tax withheld from all salaries. Now, this differs based on your situation, right? If you ever get a job, or when you get a job, or if you've already gotten a job, they give you a double, you have to go to HR and fill out payroll information, and they give you a W-4, right? That tells them how much you want withheld, how many, dependents you have, and, are you married, single, and the rates are different based on your situation, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to calculate or we're going to accrue the monthly payroll, okay? So we're going to do these journal entries as of March 31st, okay? So the easiest part of this is just recognizing, hey, we have salaries we got to pay. We have three categories of salaries: admin, sales, and custodial. They give us the dollar amounts, right? So here's our journal entry that we're going to do. Right to the center, left align. I'm going to take my debit column and my credit column. Okay, so I'm going to do A first. And I'm not going to put a date here. The date's March 31st, but I really don't need to do that at this point. I'm just going to list them A, B, C, and D. Just know that the date is March 31st. So first thing I'm going to do is say, what's my admin salary? Well, they already tell us what the amount is, $34,000. Then we have the sales salary. That amount is $54,000. And then we have custodial salary. And that is $8,000. Okay, so now we need to calculate, or now we need to show that we have liabilities, right? Based on all this pay that we paid, we have liabilities. And if you remember from the video portion, we said the first thing we have is federal income tax withholding. Okay. Now, they gave us a straight amount. They told us the amount was $18,600. That's our credit, okay? The next thing we need to withhold is our FICA, right? So our FICA is going to be calculated as we're going to do it all as one, okay? We could do Social Security and Medicare and lump them out individually, but we really don't need to do that. We're just, because we realize that it's our withholding is 7.65%, right? How'd I get that? Well, I took the 1.45 for Medicare, and then I added the Social Security portion, which is 6.2. So in total, that gives us 7.65. Okay? So, to calculate the FICA payable, I'm going to say my total payroll, which is $96,000, times 7.65%, and 96,000 times 0.0765 gives me $7,344. So that portion right there, that's the FICA that your employer withheld from your salary. Okay? Then the next thing that we need is our payroll payable, right? Meaning, how much do we owe our employees? How much are we going to pay out? Oh. This is the net amount. Okay? So to figure that out, that net amount out, we need to add up all of our total. We need to add up all of our total salaries, which we know is $96,000. And we're going to subtract our FICA payable minus our federal income tax withholding, and we get $70,056. This is the net pay for each of our employees, okay? So that's how we do that portion. Now, we have to pay our employees. So if we look at B says make the payment of net payroll. Okay, no problem. I'm going to debit payroll payable for the $70,056, and I'm going to credit cash. For $70,056. Okay? Now let's look at C. What does C say? C says accrual of all the employer's payroll taxes. So we're going to show that we are now going to pay our payroll taxes, okay? So I know I'm going to have to first recognize a payroll expense, and then I'm going to get rid of my payables, okay? So let's first start here. Payroll expense, okay? Then, then I'm gonna have to credit my FICA payable. I'm going to have to credit my federal income tax withheld payable, right? So the FICA payable is the 7344. Actually, bear with me here. I don't have this withholding yet, right? I'm recognizing the employer's expense, okay? So what does the employer owe? What is their expense? Well, they have FICA payable, okay? They're going to incur a payable. Why? Because not only do we pay 7.65% on our wages, our employer also pays 7.65% on our wages. In addition to that, the employer, or the company rather, is subject to additional taxes. State unemployment tax, which is 5.2%, and federal unemployment tax, which we call FUTA, F-U-T-A. Okay? So, we're booking the employer's portion now. So I'm going to hit FUTA, which is the federal unemployment tax. That is 0.06%, or I'm sorry, 0.6% of the employer's of the payroll, okay? Now, they tell us that the federal unemployment tax, the whole thing isn't taxed, right? If you look in the bar there, it says salaries subject to federal unemployment tax are only $66,000, okay? So I'm going to say equals $66,000 times 0.06, okay? Actually, I need one more zero in there. There we go. So it's 0.6% or 0.006, okay? So this is what the employer has to pay based on federal unemployment, okay? The employer also has to pay state unemployment tax. How much is that? Well, it's 5.2%. Now, in the real world, this differs from state to state, okay? But in this case, it's 5.2%. Now, state unemployment is only subject to, or it's subject to a threshold, right? Once we hit a certain amount, or once our employees earn X amount of money, we stop paying state unemployment and we stop paying FUTA, okay? In this case, they tell us that salaries subject to state unemployment tax are $76,000. So I'm going to take $76,000 and I'm going to multiply that by 0.052. And I get $3,952. These are all the payroll expenses that the employer has to pay on behalf of us, right? So I'm just going to add these up just to make it easier. And the total payroll expense that the employer recognizes is $11,692. Okay? So now Part D says, hey, we got to pay these payroll liabilities. So let's look at D. Well, guess what? We're getting rid of all of our withholdings. Okay? So what did we withhold first? Well, we withhold federal income tax from our employers. From our employees. We had that payable. We have the FICA payable, right? Which is right there. We have the federal unemployment FUTA that we have to pay. And we have the state unemployment that we have to pay. Guess what we're crediting? Cash. Okay? So how much federal withholdings do we have to remit? Meaning, do we have to send to the federal government or to the Treasury Department on behalf of our employees? Well, the federal withholding or the federal withholding payable is $18,600. Okay? FICA, how much do I have to spend or send? Well, I withheld $7,344 from my employees, plus I got to pay $7,344 of FICA on their behalf for them. So I have to add both of those portions. I get $14,688. I got to pay my FUTA. Well, I already previously calculated that. And I got to pay my state unemployment. I add all these up, and they end up being $37,636. That's my credit. So just to make it easier, I'm just going to say auto sum these. And that's my credit. So that, my friends, is how you do problem 10-4B. I hope it was enlightening for you to see, if you didn't know how payroll works, who pays what tax and whatnot. I hope that was kind of enlightening for you. In the real world, the FUTA and the state unemployment rates, they're going to differ based on state, number one, and the state unemployment is based on a number of factors: what type of business you're in, how many claims you've had. So in the real world, the state dictates what your state unemployment rate is. We just took 5.2%. Okay, we're fine. But in the real world, if you start a business, you have to open up all these payroll accounts with the, with the government, the state government, the federal government, all that stuff. You have to get account numbers for, FICA and all that. But in the real world, you're going to apply for state unemployment. You're going to say, hey, I need to pay it. I need an account number so I can pay you guys. Okay, we're going to tell you what the rate is. The state says, here's your rate. You pay it in. And it changes every year, again, based on what, how many claims you have, what your business is, and whatnot. All right, so there you go for Chapter 10. You're good to go. So have a great week, and we'll see you next week.